30th of November to review how we are doing on the set of boxes. At that particular time, we will actually take a decision then. We met this morning to update each other. There are various views that have been expressed by the media owners on digital migration, a number of stakeholders. And as ministry, we continue to have conversations with Kenyans from various walks of life on this matter. And we agreed after today's meeting that we will meet again on 30th of November to review the situation at that particular time. We had everyone in the room. CCK was here, Media Council, media owners were represented. We've had a discussion. We reviewed, the number of set-top boxes that have been sold and so on. The concerns that media owners have about the fact that there aren't enough set-top boxes, in the country. The concerns they have about signal distribution and so on. We have reviewed them. The issue of forming a contact group. The Media Council, Aaron is here, Mwangi, will coordinate this. We have a contact group. What we want to say in terms of the contact group is that we are putting structure to the dialogue we want to have on that legislation. And of course, we must caution ourselves and be humble enough to accept one thing, that even when we have discussions, our responsibility or whatever we can do can only go so far. Parliament has a constitutional responsibility of enacting legislation. And our discussions are not necessarily binding on Parliament. Parliament will take the decision that they please. What we will do is when we have seen the amendments that were passed by Parliament, we will look at them together. We are basically furthering dialogue and a conversation on this matter, and we are doing this to demonstrate to the country that the government is committed to protecting freedom of the press, and the government is committed to having conversations on this to ensure that we have a completely free media environment in the country. That is it. And when we come together with the contact group, we will look at the text of the bill that has been passed, and we will review at that and have a discussion amongst ourselves. Then we will figure out how our thoughts and views will be channeled to the legislative body, because the legislative branch of government will take decisions on their own. They have a constitutional mandate, they are a powerful body, and they have acted very much within their powers in doing what they have done. We want to look at the text of what they have passed so that then we can have a conversation amongst ourselves. In other words, we are saying for us as government, we are available to have a conversation with industry on whatever concerns they may have on this matter.
Yes, and then now the process moves back to the executive, because law is not law until it's assented to. So there are two parts to making the law. Parliament legislates, they amend depending on whatever they want to do. And in that sense, they are unfettered. Once the bill has been passed and the House has accepted through the motions, it's still a bill until it comes to the President and he exercises independent judgment, irrespective of what Parliament has passed, and says, I agree or I disagree. And he can disagree with any part of that law. It's called the presidential veto. It's part of the legislative process. So in assenting to the President completes the legislative process. So before, Parliament actually used to include the President and members of Parliament in our former constitution. When you said Parliament, you meant the President and the members of Parliament. In our current constitution, the President is not a member of Parliament. The presidency is not part of Parliament. But the legislative process cannot conclude without the President putting pen to paper. Now, that is where we are. The AG is the President's advisor, so he takes advice from the AG on any matter, especially on legal matters. So that's no problem. On the contact group, this is really the minister saying, okay, there has been a lot of complaint. You gentlemen and ladies who are all unanimous in terms of saying this is a bad law. It's good to hear from specifics now to say this is actually the area we have a problem with, and then to sit around so that when we give the President the advice, then we are basing it on the law, we are basing it on what the complaints coming from the sector are, so that he passes that. But the bottom line, I think, to go back, is that the freedom of the media is guaranteed by the Constitution, and the President is absolutely on top of that as far as that is concerned. Maybe even tomorrow.
Brother.